For 5 minutes.
Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. October 20th, 2009 should have marked the 35th birthday of Shannon Denise Melendi. Instead, she will be forever the 19-year-old victim of kidnapping and rape whose life was tragically ended at the hands of a ruthless killer. Shannon was a gifted young college sophomore from Miami attending Emory University in Atlanta. In Miami at Southwest High School, my alma mater, she was president of the junior and senior class, a champion orator who was captain of the debate team for 3 years. She was also in the National Honor Society and graduated cum laude in the top 3% of her class. As a member of the club Legal Eagles, Shannon was an aspiring attorney whose ultimate goal was to sit on the Supreme Court. During her senior year, Shannon even spoke before the United Nations and Congress. With grand dreams and a promising future ahead of her, nothing could have turned out to be more tragic than her disappearance. The news was devastating to her home community, as it was to the Atlanta area, where she had already established herself as a bright individual with an even brighter future. She disappeared without a trace on March 26, 1994, while working at a part-time job at a softball country club. Shortly after, the first 10,000 posters and 60 billboards went up in Atlanta with Shannon's picture and declaring her missing. Not long after that, her father, Luis Melendi, had the signs changed to kidnapped. Calvin Butch Hinton was named as a suspect. He was a co-worker and umpire she knew through her part-time job. Many pieces of evidence linked him to the disappearance of Shannon, but unfortunately not enough for a solid case. In a strange twist of fate, this demented man burned down his own home to keep the authorities from investigating him further, but he was sentenced to 9 years in prison for fraud when he tried to collect insurance on that house fire. Then, more than 11 years later, after Shannon had disappeared, Hinton had just been released from prison when he was rearrested and placed on trial for Shannon's murder. After many heart-wrenching moments in the trial, the verdict came back guilty, and Hinton was sentenced to life in prison. Because of the atrocious acts of this horrible man, a bright young life was extinguished, and the world is forever poor because of it. Chillingly, though, this murderer is up for parole in the year 2011. With the confessed perpetrator behind bars, we have the comfort of knowing that no other person can fall victim to him, and that is why we should fight to keep him there in prison. Unfortunately, many perpetrators are roaming the streets today, still preying on the most innocent of victims. Let us make sure that Calvin Hinton is not one of them. Shannon's parents, Luis and Yvonne, as well as her sister, Monique, are still active today in efforts to protect children by strengthening our laws, protecting and educating youth and their families about violence and perpetrators. They honor their daughter and their sister, Shannon, and the countless other children like Shannon through their work. Shannon's story must serve as a reminder to students that they must always be aware of their surroundings and stay safe. As a mother and grandmother, I cannot imagine the heartache the Melendis have gone through. Luis Melendi still speaks to high school seniors about the dangers posed by perpetrators and reminds them this could happen to anyone. And last week, on what should have been their daughter's 35th birthday, the Melendi family spoke to the students at Coral Shores High School in Tavernier to keep Shannon's memory alive and to drive home the idea of being aware and being safe. With these efforts and the laws that we pass, we can help protect our nation's youth. It is in honor and remembrance of Shannon Melendi that I urge my colleagues to remain champions and protectors of our youth. Through the life of Shannon Melendi, we know that even though it was short, we can make sure that the lessons learned from her murder last eternally. I thank the Speaker for the time, and we will always remember Shannon.